Okay, so guys, this is going to be the last video on listening, and then you are done for this week. So, all right. So now that we have already talked about listening, we've done our activity, we've been able to distinguish between like what's the difference with listening and hearing, and how that difference of listening and hearing actually has an effect on the way that we move throughout the world and the way that we communicate with others and the way that we can actually stay alive. Even if we are just like hearing, we're able to actually listen to the things that are around us. So now that we've accomplished that, we've understand the difference, and we've seen what it kind of feels like to be in silence. We know what it is to actually listen 95% of the time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out a really good way to be able to implement that into our daily lives to help us become better listeners and to help us implement the forward listenings within our daily lives as we move throughout academia and like your other classes, or even just on your own self and your own personal growth. So the first way that we're able to implement listening within our lives is to become an active listener. And what an active listener is someone that is giving their undivided attention to a speaker in a genuine effort to understand the speaker's point of view. So if you're watching this video right now and you just kind of have it going on like the background, and you have your AirPods in, or maybe you have other headphones that you're wearing, and you're like cleaning your room, washing dishes, doing anything else like that, that is not necessarily active listening. You're not really listening to me. Even though you might be listening to me, you might not be actively listening to me. So in the sense of like looking at me here on this video, like me putting in the effort to like actually talk to you guys and show you how and what it is to become an active listener and how to implement that in your daily routine, going about and just listening to something as it's playing like might not be the best way to become an active listener. So what I would suggest is, for when you guys are, and I know everything is online right now, and I know you guys are probably watching just like a shit ton of videos. I know I've already uploaded like 5 videos for this week, which, was not really my intent. I tried to make it as short as possible for you guys. But it is quite a bit of materials, as you can see, like the material is extensive, and we do have to cover quite a bit. But I want to make it in a way where you guys can actually become active listeners, even if you're watching this video, or if you're not watching this video. How can you be an active listener? And so a really good way to be an active listener is to present yourself with cues, right? So active listening is a sense of like, if you're listening to something and you're genuinely listening to it, you want to recall that message, and you want to be able to get that message when you need that message. And so like in this class, like when you get to the midterm, like an active listening cue for you is going to be a question on the midterm. I'm going to ask you like, how can you become an active listener by the examples that I gave you? And what you're going to have to recall is, being an active listener means that you're going to need to establish cues. And what these cues are generally like taking notes, right? Taking notes, or you can even do a physical cue, like right when I say active listening, you could pull on your ear, and that is a cue, right? So whenever you hear active listening, you're going to go for your ear, and that's because it's your mind is telling you like, oh, there's a physical cue for that word, for that phrase. I'm going to pull on my ear, and then I'm going to remember everything that Shane talked about active listening and how to implement that into our lives. And so I think because we're in such a virtual space right now, establishing those physical cues are probably the most beneficial for everyone. So when you hear like the 4 different types of listening, right? So like you can say appreciative listening. Think of Honey, Easy Bitu, and the song that I played for you guys in the listening activity. That should be a cue, like right away, like appreciative listening, music, listening activity. I didn't. If you didn't like to sit in silence, maybe silence. That could be a cue for you as well. My lectures, as far as comprehensive listening, that could be an example of comprehensive listening as well. These lectures and the videos that I'm doing for you guys. Also, if you do see like Rick, keep that in mind. You can also say like, oh, comprehensive listening, Rick. I'm going to think of Rick and Morty, because when I'm in Shane's class, like he always says, look out for Rick and Morty. And so there they are, Rick and Morty. So, it's like those types of things, those like physical cues or intellectual cues or even emotional cues that would be able to stimulate an active listening environment when you are going throughout your other classes and trying to figure things out, or even like in your workspace or at your job, like having those particular things help you become a more active listener, and therefore will help stimulate yourself throughout the environment. You become a better listener. You're able to recall things a lot more faster than others who might not really quite understand what's going on or the direction, or you might be a person that they ask you for help a lot because you remember things because you have become an implemented active listener and therefore became an active learner as you are moving throughout your courses, your job, your personal life, whatever you would want to create active listening into. I think like having all of them like whole rounded, like your job, your school, your personal life, being an active person in that, including active listening, is definitely going to help you guys in the long run. Okay, so as far as listening goes, that is where I'm going to leave you guys off for this week. I'm not going to post anything on this video outside of a discussion post. And the discussion post is just going to be like, how are you guys going to implement active listening in your day-to-day lives? And how do you feel about active listening, and how can you implement active listening? Or maybe you didn't like one of the examples that I gave about active listening, like having your headphones in and doing housework, or doing something else. Like maybe you're like, oh, like I don't really think that is active, like that isn't active listening. I can actively listen and still do other things on the side. I want to hear your guys' comments on active listening. So I'm going to post a discussion post at the end of this video that I want you guys to respond on. Respond to others if you see that. I'm not sure if you can tag them or not, but I will, give them a mention if you like that. Be genuine about it. Don't say like, oh yeah, I agree with what so-and-so said, because that's not participation. That's just agreeing. I want to know why you agree. Why don't you agree? Why do you see that aspect of that, and whatnot? Um, so yeah, so this is going to wrap up listening for this week, guys. Keep in mind that your journals are due on Sunday by midnight. So definitely upload those on time. I'm going to close it after that. If you don't submit it on time and you submit it a day late, you're going to have to email it to me, and it's going to have to be in video format. So you might have to share a drive with me, or however you're going to be able to share that. Just let me know, and then we can move on from there. But like I said, your weekly journals are going to be due on Sunday by midnight. Okay, so I'm going to want to see those as well. And yeah, and don't forget about your homework. So keep up with the tentative course schedule. If there's any changes, I will notify everyone about the changes, and then we'll be updated. If you guys have any questions regarding the materials that we have covered in the videos, send me an email, let me know what's going on, let me know your thoughts and processes on that. And yeah, and I can explain further, or I can clarify a couple of things for you guys. But outside of that, this is the wrap up on listening. Thank you guys for being so patient. I appreciate all of your time. Let me know if you have any questions, like I said before. But outside of that, that is it for this week. So yes, yay. Play some video games, have fun, and I will see you guys on lecture day. All right? I'll see you soon. Bye.